Hey guys, and welcome in today's episode where I want to be talking about, customer service and customer support in general for the overall industry.
Why treat the customer this way? Why?
And we'll dive in specifics when it comes to Asus because I definitely feel that they're trying to right their wrongs and take some positive steps in the right direction. If you caught last year's Gamers Nexus investigation, you probably know that Asus wasn't exactly winning any customer service awards. But here's a twist. Asus is now actively trying to turn things around. And this isn't just good news for them. It's basically, I think, a wake-up call for the entire industry. The fact is that companies now need our feedback to catch issues before they spiral into full-blown disasters. And that only happens when people, actually speak up. Let's be honest for a second, and I know most of us don't report problems. We often think, they probably already know, or we simply avoid the headache of dealing with, customer support. I mean, sometimes it actually feels like trying to return a product to a store where the cashier is just, determined overall to convince you that it is entirely your fault. But here's the reality. If no one reports an issue, it might as well not exist to the company. They keep churning out products with the same recurring problems, like, probably a game developer releasing a patch that fixes one bug, but only to introduce 3 more. So, let's take an overall very bad example in the market right now. And let's take the RTX 4090 power connector, a disaster as a prime example. When users first started noticing their very expensive GPUs melting, the initial reaction was dismissive. Something along the lines of, that's weird, it must just be user error. At first, there were just, a few scattered posts on tech forums, nothing to write home about. But then the tides actually turned. Suddenly, Reddit was buzzing with posts, YouTube videos starting appearing with detailed tests and comparisons, and tech forums were just flooded with photos and first-hand accounts. People prove it wasn't just merely a case of improper installation, it was a genuine, widespread issue. When enough voices joined in, NVIDIA couldn't just ignore it any longer. So what started as a rare case quickly escalated to a full-blown PR nightmare, forcing NVIDIA to investigate, run tests, and eventually fix issues and address the problem. This is exactly why even small complaints matter. A single report, yes, might be just, brushed off as a fluke or user error. 10 reports might seem as an isolated incident, but when hundreds of people share their experiences, companies are compelled to take notice. And action for that matter. Nowadays, they no longer rely solely on the official support tickets. They're actually actively watching every corner of the internet. They're now monitoring Reddit, scrolling through Twitter, combing through the tech forums, all in search of issues to catch the fire. And when they do, you often see those classic PR statements like, we take customer feedback very seriously and we're actively investigating this matter. Now, let me add a personal note here. After dealing with my issues on the Zephyrus G16 laptop, and yes, I made a previous video where I highlighted the exact issues that I have, I decided to play my part in the community. Instead of just venting or walking away, I decided to prove customer support with a full and comprehensive report outlining all the issues I experienced with this laptop. So this was a detailed report covering everything from the performance problems to the technical glitches I had encountered, all down to the QA and the overall manufacturing of this laptop. I knew that in order for things to get improved, I had to play my part and be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. And I provided this report alongside with my video to customer support in hopes that the future buyer doesn't have to go through the same issues that I have and allow Asus to basically fix their problems moving forward. So overall, I think and I hope that this is a win-win situation for both future buyers and as well for Asus being aware of what's happening and trying to fix its wrongs that they might be aware of or not. And you know what? Asus seemed genuinely concerned about the issues that I raised. They didn't just send me a generic response or brushed me off. They actually wanted to work together to understand the problem in detail. It felt like they really cared about the feedback and were actively trying to use it to make things better, not just for me, but overall for their customers. And I think that's a huge step forward. So when I say that reporting your issues matters, it's not just a theoretical statement. I saw it firsthand. Ever since last year, Asus I think is genuinely trying to rebuild its trust with its customers, and they're doing it by listening and actively engaging with feedback. They understand that it is not just about fixing one's personal problems, it's about creating a better experience for everyone. If you missed last year's investigation, you know that Asus customer support wasn't exactly lighting up the room. However, they clearly learned from the past missteps. Asus is now offering a more direct way to escalate your support cases. If you've ever been stuck in an endless loop of standard support tickets, you can now basically email executivecare@asus.com. This isn't some secret back door. It is a service Asus is openly offering to help push the case up the chain when the normal process just isn't working. Of course, you'll still need to go through the initial customer support steps to obtain an RMA case number. This escalation process is designed to kick in only when the standard support, falls short. And to streamline the process, Asus has provided a template to guide you with your complaint. You can see the template somewhere up here, and I'll leave a link down in the bottom as well so that you can go directly to Asus website to check out the updated guidelines for the template. But that template is there just basically to streamline the whole process so that they can find easier your case, to see what happened in the past, and to help smooth the transition between the problem and the fix for you and basically for everybody else. Now let's be clear though, reporting an issue isn't a magic fix that will solve every problem overnight. Look at the train wreck with NVIDIA. They're melting power connectors. Even after a massive public outcry, some of those issues still linger, and they do in a big way even with the 50 series moving forward. NVIDIA's consumer GPU market is just a small part of their overall revenues, so they can sometimes afford to let this problem slide, even though people are getting mad left and right. But for companies like Asus, consumer trust is everything. Their reputation in the PC space matters a whole lot more, and they genuinely need us, the end consumers, to help identify and fix issues before they spiral out of control. Let's take a moment now to think about what this means for you. When you encounter a problem, whether it's a minor glitch or major defect, your voice is powerful. Even if you don't end up going through an RMA, reporting the issue helps create a record that forces companies to take a closer look. It is a bit like throwing a stone into a calm pond. One splash might seem insignificant, but if enough stones are thrown, the ripple become waves and then no one can ignore them anymore. Consider this, your feedback might be the tipping point that prevents a small recurring issues from evolving into a major disaster. It might help the company release a critical firmware update, change a design flaw, or even issue a recall before these things get out of hand. In a way, every time you report an issue, you're not just saving yourself a headache, you're potentially saving countless others from experiencing, the same frustration. That's more or less of what I try to do here by reporting directly to Asus my mishaps or my misfortune with this device right here, in hopes that basically my future self, alongside with you guys, might spare ourselves the future frustration by just allowing Asus to basically fix the product now before a future iteration. And there's another aspect to this. Companies are increasingly aware that their reputation is shaped by what happens online. They now know that if an issue blows out on social media, it can quickly become a PR nightmare. That's why you often see companies scrambling to put up statements like, "We're investigating this matter." It is a race against time, and your feedback is the fuel that drives this conversation. Now, I'm genuinely curious, have you ever experienced a customer service nightmare? Maybe you've dealt with long wait times, endless loops of automated responses, or simply felt ignored by a company that should care about your experience. On the flip side, have you ever been pleasantly surprised when a company actually listened to your feedback and made things right? I'd love to hear about your stories. I will definitely appreciate your time to just leave me down a comment in the box below, and maybe also other people might be wondering about what's happening with a brand left and right and how you have dealt with their customer service. So that would be a huge win for the community. I think the takeaway here is quite simple. Don't stay silent. Whatever or not you decide to pursue an RMA, reporting problems is crucial. It forces companies to acknowledge and address flaws, and if enough people speak up, it can lead to real, tangible changes. After all, in today's digital age, our collective voice has the superpower to reshape how companies operate. So next time you encounter a problem, take a minute to share your experience. Not only could you help improve a product or service, but you might also be preventing a minor issue from turning into a full-blown disaster. And for Asus, who clearly understands that rebuilding trust means listening to their customers, your feedback is more valuable now than I think it ever was. And if you have a story, it doesn't matter if it's a tale of frustration or a surprising win, drop a comment down below. I think all of us want to see it. Let's have a chat about the good, the bad, and the outright unbelievable moments in customer support. If you want to show your love for this channel and what I'm doing right here, you know what to do, and you can help out tremendously by doing so. Subscribe to my channel, that would be highly appreciated. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, you can feel free to check out my video up here, whatever YouTube recommends. And until the next one, guys, as always, stay informed, do your due diligence, keep this conversation going, as your voice truly matters. See you guys around.